Suit up, strap in, warm the tires, and leave on yellow. Time for the MitsuTimes podcast. Presented by MitsuTimes.org, the home of the fastest Mitsubishi cars. With your host, Josh.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Josh with MitsuTimes. Today, my guest is the owner and driver of the number one Evo on our Evo 1 through 9 list, Mr. Raif. How are you doing today, Raif?
Very good. How you doing?
I'm great, man. It's such an honor to get to talk to you. I've been following you around here last year and got to see you in action. I didn't get to see the world record pass, but I got to see a couple of them get real close.
Yeah, thank you.
I think I did get to see you break it the first time at World Cup, and then you broke it again on that Monday, right?
Correct. Yeah, that was the Friday at World Cup doing qualifying.
Okay. And your World Cup, I mean, it was kind of up and down, wasn't it?
The World Cup, it's just the two other cars we had were kind of up and downs. We actually had a normal, smooth World Cup actually for World Cup, adventures out there, but usually it's a lot worse. It's a hectic event, and it's definitely not for the faint-hearted. But we did pretty good other than a couple of clutches. We did a lot of maintenance stuff just to keep it up, but it was a pretty good outing overall.
Good. I know that pushing the rocker through the head casing, that was something I've never seen before.
That was definitely something I've never seen myself. Literally, it actually spit it from the intake side, went over, hit the exhaust camlobe, and put it right out of the head.
Wow.
Nearly almost caught the car on fire because all the oil spit right in the manifold.
Oh, yeah.
Because right at the end of the track, the car still ran fine, but I saw a bunch of smoke pouring out. I'm like, what is going on? I shut the car right off, and I'm looking oil everywhere. I'm looking at the head. There's a hole right in front of the head. I'm like, how did that happen? It's just, I've seen it come out of the valve cover before. But since we have a billet valve cover, so I think instead of coming out of the valve cover, it came out of the head. So you took the, part of the casting of the head,
Took the path of least resistance.
Exactly, that's what it did. And Evo heads being so rare, I know it's fixable, but we were going to weld it at the track, but we came with 3 spare heads, so we said, you know what, I just put a spare head on the car and not even worry about an oil leak,
Yeah. I just wanted to say, Raif, congratulations on taking the number one spot. With your work ethic, I'm not surprised that it's in your hands now.
Thank you. I appreciate that a lot. Definitely a lot of hard work and dedication for sure,
So, Raif, you've been in this game for a very long time. What was it that drew you to the Evo platform in the first place?
It's going to have to go back to 1999, believe it or not. I was a freshman in high school, or 8th grade might have even been, and my brother was a junior or senior in high school. And he ended up bringing one of his buddies' 1990 Eagle Talon home. I don't know for what reason, but he was like, hey, we got to go for a ride in this car. And at that point, it was probably just a bolt-on car, probably a 14-second car at best. And I remember him taking me for a ride, typical DSM fashion, grinding every gear, trans probably. And I remember hitting boost and be like, wow, this is like a rocket ship. Something I've never felt in my life,
right.
Being 15 years old at the time. And shortly after that, my good friend, about 3-4 years older than me, Turbo Tony, he had 2G DSM that had all the Busher upgrades on it, the Busher 20G. I believe it was a stock motor car, had a HKS, VPC, GCC. If you're a true DSMer, you'll know what that is. And being in that car and watching that car doing some street races, being all-wheel drive, stick shift, and just seeing it just go, it was probably 11th car at the time. And, really drove me into I have to own one of these. And before I even had my license, I'm hunting one down. Sure enough, as soon as I get my license, I get one of them, do a bunch of bolt-ons on it. And, made it pretty quick. Ended up getting another one right shortly after that. Just kind of, it was a blue 1G Eclipse GSX that ended up going 901, which was, really quick at the time. And, just couldn't just get the car to go into the eights no matter what we did, breaking axles, T cases, transmissions, and at that time just, wasn't in the budget to upgrade any of those parts. So started looking at, more of a streetable car. And that's, when the Evo 8s were, just getting popular and a little bit affordable on it. So it was right at 2007, 2008 when I ended up picking up my white one. So it's the same one I have currently right now.
Oh, wow.
Ended up buying that. Just, it was sight unseen. It was kind of cheap. It was like 12 or 13 grand at that time. It was a really good deal for its time. And it had like 20,000 miles. Needed a little bit of work. They were saying it needed a transmission. So it was like, that's why the price was a little lower. And at that time, that's all I really did. It's just like really did a bunch of rebuilds on DSM trannies and Evos. And so it was kind of like, perfect car for me to get. And they actually ended up splitting the car 50-50 with my brother, to tell you the truth. So we're just kind of like, got to do whatever I can do to just get an Evo, because I want something that, we can have fun and build it together. Still be streetable, because the DSM at this point was like, a gutted out race car. It wasn't something that appealed me at the time. It was fast, but I kind of wanted something I can enjoy on the street and just kind of take it on the street. It was just like not enjoyable for me at the time. And that's pretty much how I ended up getting my Evo.
Okay. Yeah. Whenever you got this, besides the messed up transmission, was it pretty much just bone stock?
It was bone stock car, and as soon as we got it back to, at the time it was my parents' house. That's where we did all my work, in my parents' garage. We ended up looking through the transmission, like, let's fix it. And it ended up being just the shifter cable wasn't bolted on.
Oh, my gosh.
So we bolted up the shifter cables. The car didn't have an exhaust at the time. It was just like downpipe back, and someone had stolen the exhaust out of the car. I don't know what was going on with it. So the first mod was really like an AMS exhaust. We found somebody that was selling locally and put it on the car.
Well, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So I didn't even realize that the car you have today was the original one. That's pretty cool. For some reason, I thought it was a different chassis than the one you were racing years ago.
No, this is exactly the first Evo I've ever had, original Evo.
That's so cool.
And, I've owned this since 2007, 2008. Long time. It was 14 years or so, 15 years I've had this car.
So back then, when you finally got the shifter cables all fixed on it, did you have any goals with the car? I know you said you wanted it to be streetable. Did you have a number in mind, since you had a 9-second DSM at the time?
The goal wasn't much for the car. It was really like, I just want like a bolt-on car that runs 11s. That's kind of quick. It was, I wanted to enjoy the leather in the car. I wanted to enjoy the AC in the car. So I was like, I don't want to modify it, because at that time, Evo's worth a lot of money. And I was like, I don't want to make this into a race car. Right. I feel like, I don't want to devalue the car. So it was basically just the first goal was bolt-ons. I brought it to a track a couple of times a year just to see what it does. It won like 1170s with the bolt-ons we were able to get. Boost controller, exhaust, intercooler. I think we did a set of HKS 272 cams or something. And now I think about it, those are basically stock cams for these cars. But very simple bolt-ons, because I just wanted to get the drivability and have the car to be able to enjoy it. And that was the whole purpose of the car. It wasn't a purpose to go fast or break any records with it. That was, you would never have, I would have never guessed that could even happen with it. Like, no way, That's
crazy. So yeah. What was the turning point with this Evo that was like, okay, now we got to take it off the streets and it's a race car now?
Well, it took a while for this car to come off the streets. It was up to like 2015 when the car really became like more of a dedicated race car. So it had its stages. Ended up being like, I want to still enjoy the car. So like, all right, let's keep the full interior. I want to keep the AC in the car. Let's try a built motor in it, because back then nobody knew like a stock even motor can hold 500-600 horsepower. So we're like, hey, 400 horsepower, I got to build this motor. I'm thinking DSM turns,
Right.
But even back then, a DSM, I mean, now could hold it, but back then we didn't know this. We were just like, oh, it's gonna break at 400 horsepower. So 500 horsepower, 600 horsepower. I'm like, first thing I did is build the motor on the car, and again, did it out of my parents' driveway. Took the motor out, did it right in their basement. Not even kidding. And we ended up doing, the next stage up, which was like, I believe it was first turbo kit I did is like a 6266 from Precision. And I only did that because I saw Mike from All Wheel Drive Motorsports go like 890 back in the day in their white Eva RS. I was like, I got to do it. The car ended up going like a 1020 at the best. And I pushed it, like 1020s. It was still streetable. I would still drive it to the track and back. It was still enjoyable.
Yeah.
And then it slowly evolved. The car went from like having the 62, 66 to like an FP Black, a 42R. And then when it really turned into like our race cars, when we started doing the 6870, we ended up going like an 890 pass with a 6870.
Oh, wow.
Still with AC, full interior and everything. And this was right at like 2015, right when we started racing the car at World Cup. The first year we went in, we were going 890, 9.0s, and we realized, hey, this is not fast enough if we want to compete with this badass event. So we just kind of redid the whole car, lost a little bit of weight. And that's when the car really evolved into more of a race car right there.
Gotcha.
Like, I would say 2015-ish.
And since it's really turned into a race car, I know you've had a couple different setups on it. What setups have you had that really worked out well for you?
We've done every setup possible in this car. We've gone from a stock turbo, a 35R, 42R, 67 millimeter precision, 68, 72, 76, 80, 86, you name it, we've tried it.
Yeah.
Probably the most favorite setup I had, it was the Force Performance HD86, which is 35R base turbo. Car ran best of a 9.1 with that turbo. Drove it everywhere. Still had AC, leather, won bunch of stuff, IFOs, won the Busher Shootout at a street eliminator with that turbo. I mean, that's when the car never broke. Like, it would be like going for years and years, same clutch, same trans, same motor, same everything, and there's nothing broke in the car back then. Thinking back, that was like such a fun setup.
Just changing the oil and plugs, can't beat that.
Oil and plugs, and that's all we did. Just put fuel, oil, plugs, and and I remember talking to people and be like, well, how many motors you do a season? Or I'm like, this motor's like 5 years old. Like, the car didn't make that much power. It went 9.0 like 139. So we used like every ounce of power. So for the ET, so it wasn't a lot of power, 650 to the wheels. It rarely broke. It was so much fun, I wish I could have the car back at that stage, It's a lot of fun.
You almost got to build another one now.
Absolutely. I've been thinking about it,
Yep. Just something to have less stress at the track with.
Absolutely.
So what's the setup on the car now, Raif?
So right now, basically the car is a billet block by Bullet, and it's our internals, so we built it in-house. The whole car is literally built in my shop other than the fab work, meaning cage and manifold. So we got the Bullet 2-liter long rod aluminum rod motor. It's a PPG dog box that's also built by me. 81 millimeter Apex turbo with a manifold built by KG Fabrications, and he also did the cage to the car.
Okay.
It is on an M5 methanol. It's got a 3000 GT rear diff in it that's also built by us. Other than that, there's really a Link ECU that I left out, 8 injectors by ID. But other than that, it's really pretty simple stuff on the car. It's really nothing that you cannot recreate. It's pretty much a lot of off-the-shelf parts that we use. Few things are custom to us. But really, the biggest factors I believe in this car is, we left everything Evo drivetrain, so we don't have no Honda viscous couplers or anything like that. We kind of wanted to keep the car all Evo, so we thought, like, hey, in case we do break this world record, I don't want someone to hate and say, hey, you didn't use an Evo, drivetrain in the car, a Mitsubishi drivetrain. We got a 3000 GT rear end. That's the worst thing we got, and I believe I kind of want to go back to an Evo one because I don't think it's really doing much for us other than adding weight. So I think the biggest factor in the car is the suspension work we did on it, which has been like literally 5 years of back and forth with this, figuring out the suspension, and just getting the car dialed into 60 foot, which is a lot of time into the tuning and the way we get the power, boost, RPM, everything set for it to come out of the hole.
Yeah, just the changes, whatever changes you've made over the past couple of years have made a huge difference, because you don't see your car, you don't see Nick's car bunny hopping anymore. It's just straight out of the line.
Yeah, and it's so the last car we finally talked into is Midion's, the Yorkie Evo.
Yep.
So, he's using a different kind of suspension. It's not even Evo related at all. And he's been running that suspension for since I've known him. And finally, that Saturday World Cup finals, he caved in and said, you know what, let's just get rid of the suspension. So we had one of my employees go to my shop, pull the suspension out of my Evo 10, actually, because we're building a full-blown Evo 10 race car. Pulled out of my Evo 10 so we can modify that suspension to put it in his car. Didn't race the car that Sunday, and we waited to the rental on Monday, and 9-day difference. So we got that car, the bunny hop, that's gone, and we're hoping this season that car is going to start going back to where it's supposed to be, in the 770 range. And same with Nick's car. Hopefully both cars in the 760s, 70s. Who knows? Maybe even faster than me. I don't know. We'll see. But if they go faster than me, that's fine, because they're really good friends of mine, and I'd be more than happy to see that happen.
Yeah, that's good. So,
absolutely.
Raif, I wanted to talk about the Monday after World Cup when you made the 7.560 pass, because obviously the car had been running great all weekend. Can you talk us through the day and why you decided to stay for the rental?
Well, we really weren't going to stay for the rental, to be honest. Only reason we stayed is because Midion's car, we just did all the suspension work on Saturday, and he ended up cutting his hand pretty bad doing suspension work because he was using a die grinder and just sliced one of his tendons on his thumb.
Oh, jeez.
So, because we were trying to fit an Evo 10 suspension and an Evo 8, so it's not a bolt-on affair. So we said, let's wait till Monday. We'll race the car on Monday for him. I want to support it, and my car wasn't even supposed to be raced, but since I missed Sunday also due to a no-start issue right at the line, that we found out it was just literally the fuel pump lost prime, just crank. And after 5 years of this car being on a mechanical fuel pump setup, it's never happened. And of course it happens at World Cup on Sunday during eliminations. What is the chances? And of course it happens. So I'm kind of aggravating myself. So I'm you know what? We did some changes to the car, and I kind of want to try it on Monday. Midion's telling me, no, Raif, we're just going to race my car. I need your concentration. I'm dude, I'm just going to I'm going to race my car, but I'm not going to worry about it too much. I'm just going to, if it breaks, it breaks. If I'm not doing any changes, so we're just going to just run it once or twice, and I'm just going to park it and I'll help you. And of course, that's not how it happens. So we throw all our camera equipment, everything on his car, on the suspension, because we got brand new suspension. So we got all the GoPros, inside, outside, wheel wells, side, bumpers, front, everywhere. We put 6 cameras in his car just to see what the suspension does, so we can figure it out. And I'm racing right behind him, so now we got no camera footage of my car. And we're not expecting to go a world record on the car, because we're just saying, screw, we're going to run it. Of course, we got one clip of a video of my car, and that's it, because all our stuff is in Midion's car. So, pretty much, I make the pass. Car leaves like an animal, to the point where I'm oh my God, this car's going to break. I've never felt a launch come so violent. And, things start shaking off the car. If you look at the video, I think the side view, trim mirror flew out of the car. And I'm like, wow, something's going to break because I've never felt the car grip me so hard. Hit second, car feels great. I'm like, wow, that's a good pass. Hit third, feels really good. Hit fourth, the car just shuts down, nosedives. It just coasts. Like, and I'm like, I'm feeling it in my chest. I'm like, that was a good pass. But something happened, something went wrong. So I know, like, hey, the 8th mile is going to be fantastic on this thing. But I'm not sure if it's a record pass again. And then, I get out of the car and I see 2 golf carts coming back with a bunch of people. And I'm like, wow, I must have went fast because why are there so many people coming to me? And sure enough, I went 756. And mile an hour was way down. Came to find out the drive-by-wire throttle, but he literally closed down on 4th gear, being at like 20% throttle almost. So just kind of just coasted its way all of 4th gear. So it kind of it's got more in it, but beggars can't be choosers.
That's crazy. That it seems like it's always that record pass that something happens and you think, man, I know it's got more in it now.
Well, that's exactly what ended up happening when, we hit we were stuck at 830s for 5 years, put it that way. We knew the car has a 7-second potential since 2017 or 18. And then the bounty happened. And then it made us really scramble, hey, let's go fast. And we were stuck going 830s. It was a wall. We go 790s, I believe it was 2020 at the Hail Mary, because it was pre-COVID, I believe, or right after COVID. I don't know, one of those things. So we go the 790s, and we've been struggling to go 820s, and we all of a sudden go, boom, 790s. The pass right after that, we get our personal best 8th mile, and boom, the turbo breaks in 4th gear, and we're coasting, look at the 8th mile, we're wow, and it broke before the 8th. And we're looking wow, if that was a full pass, we would have probably won a 770, maybe even a world record pass. And we're thinking to ourselves, man, for 5 years we've been struggling going, can't go faster than 830. All of a sudden we were in a runner-up being a world record car. And again, we couldn't duplicate that pass, or something went wrong. And now we're going back to where we are now. It took 2 more years to go back to it, So it is, always on the best pass something happens. Put it that way,
That's crazy. It has to be so exciting to know that your car has more in it, but then so frustrating at the same time.
It is, but that's what, motivates you. And you're like, if it was a perfect pass, why would you want to go back out and race it again?
Yeah, that's fair.
So it's cool. Now I'm back at the shop and I'm thinking, man, what if I did this? What if I did that? And now I'm eager to go back out. I can't wait till the weather turns nicer because I'm going right back to the track. I want to go faster. Put it that way.
I wanted to talk about the changes from the 7650 on Saturday to the 7560 pass on Monday.
So that was actually kind of fun because that was Friday into Saturday. And then we were trying to go for the big show on Sunday. So we're kind of hey, we have nothing to lose now. I had my buddy John Whalen there that's been great help with this car. My buddy Jocelyn also, same thing. My brother, my buddy Craig, and, being there just kind of let's just kind of think outside the box right now. What can we do to this car? Because we were to get the record to just try some weird stuff. So we ended up just messing with the suspension to the points where I never felt comfortable to do it. But why not? Let's do it, Yeah. Who cares? Let's try to what we can do. And the biggest change we made to the car is we ended up changing the cams, and that was John's idea. Hey, does Nick have a set of these cams that we used to run this car? Yeah, Nick, do you got some? I do. Can we borrow it? Sure, let's put it in the car. Because, my car runs a lot different stuff than Nick's car and Median's car does, because I'm always trying other stuff that takes a lot more work to try, and I'm kind of an idiot sometimes for trying too many things, but also the R&D is what helps out in the long run.
Right, for
You know,
sure.
we've been trying like solid lifters in the car to be like, all right, we have to put solid lifters because that's the only way we can get rockers not to blow up. But, you know, then we find out they still kind of go, but not as bad. So we ended up going to a different kind of cam, got aggressive with the tune, and that was pretty much the two biggest changes: the suspension, the cams that we did, and we just kind of threw like a lot more boost at the car to the 8th mile to see what it does, and hence why the throttle ability started closing earlier on us, because apparently as soon as we hit over 3 pounds of boost, the drive-by-wire throttle ability cannot handle it. Not sure if it's vibration issue or whatnot, but either way, we're getting rid of that drive-by-wire stuff and putting mechanical throttle ability back in the car.
Okay.
But pretty much cams and suspension.
That's interesting.
Yeah, well, we tried to. What was happening is we noticed once we went to the bigger turbo with the Apex, we couldn't get the 60-foots back where they were. We were getting like 135s, 132s, and the car used to pitch like a 127, 128 consistently. So we went to a smaller cam, tried to get the boost to come up a little bit quicker, hence making probably a little less power with it. But it helped a lot on the short track.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
This episode of the MitsuTimes podcast is brought to you by Carbonetics Carbon Fiber. They set the standard for quality when it comes to composite products. All Carbonetics products feature a UV coat for a high gloss finish. They are extremely lightweight for race applications, have a high strength to weight ratio, fit just like OEM parts, and are hand laminated using only grade A carbon with a 2x2 twill weave. Many of their products can be seen on dozens of cars on our list. Check out all they have to offer at carbonetics.com. So, Raif, you talked about it a little bit, but we get to see the good side of what it takes to be number one Evo. But what I want to talk about what it took to build up to be the number one. I mean, most of us don't get to see the long nights and all the stress that it takes, and who knows how much money to get you where you are. So, I wanted to just talk about that briefly.
I mean, I don't even know where to start with that one because it's, the family time I get, that I've been missing to do the late hours with my car, my kids, my wife, it's just, they've been my rock, and, the support they've given me is like crazy, Yeah. So, the late nights is crazy because we don't work on this car during work hours. We do it like after hours, or we do it on a weekend. So like it really affects family time.
Yeah.
So the struggle, the money, and the time is what it's tough. Like, so it takes a lot in the background. The broken parts, the devastation, like you go into a track, you're like, hey, cool, I got everything figured out. Like working on the car night and night and night, and then hit the track, and then you just like, nothing happens. You're like, wow, that was just a waste of a week. Come back, do it again, Yeah. It's tough. And the biggest regret I have is, losing family time over it. And, luckily they're very supportive of me, and, they really know what I go through and what it means to me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Raif, that kind of leads me into my next question of what does it mean to you to be the number one? Why is it so important?
I mean, being a DSMer, a 4G63 guy for life, like since I was 14, 15, being on the number one spot is just something that I would never thought was possible. I immigrated in this country back in 96. Legally, like, my dad was here since 85, so he brought us over here. It was a struggle for me, we didn't have that much money. Like, all this was started just through my parents' garage. Like, RT Motorsports means for Raif Race Transmission. So I was doing like DSMers, doing their trainings for like $500-600. Like, I was just anything I can make any kind of money to just get an edge of buying the next part, doing whatever I gotta do, and and evolve to being where I am right now, to owning my own shop, to having employees under me, having a dyno, being able to go racing, helping other people. For it to have grown so much, it just means the world to me. Like, I just never thought it was even possible. So for it to have happened and to be up there with like some of the legends of the 4G63 world is still seems unreal. And I still don't feel like I'm there, which is weird. I don't know how to explain it, but it just doesn't feel like I'm there yet. But I guess I am. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It's like, it's still unreal. Like, I feel like I don't deserve to be up there. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It just something when you never think it could happen, but it just happened, and I don't know. I don't know how. Just unexplainable.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, Raif, I wanted to talk about the next goal for this car. Obviously, you're not planning on taking the year off and enjoying being first place. It sounds like some people are maybe going to take a swing at taking you down this year. So I wanted to talk to you about what your next goal is.
I mean, we're doing some changes to the car, not much. I feel like the setup that it's got in it has more in it. But we're going to be out as soon as the weather gets nice. By mid-April, we're going to be back out no matter what. And we're definitely going to try to keep pushing the car. I mean, there's not a real set goal of how fast we're going to go, but I think just looking at the data, I think we can get a 740 out of the car, to be realistic. And then once we get that, when we can start playing with a little bit of some power adders and see if we can go a little faster, and just have kind of fun with the car versus stressing out to get to the number one spot. And if somebody beats us, that's okay. Because that gives us some motivation to go faster. Everybody that's in the running, we're extremely close friends with them, so it's okay. Like, it's fine if somebody wants to go a 740 or 750 or try to go faster than me, because the way I am, that would just spike more motivation for me to go faster. Yeah. And we need that. And in the Mitsubishi community, we're not that many of us are going this fast. Like a Honda community, you got a lot of them.
Right.
So if nobody tries to go faster, it's gonna just let me just get lazy and gonna just do what I'm doing, but I want to go faster. Yeah. So that's the whole goal. Try to get the community to kind of like all come together, everyone to motivate each other, and all the cars that are out there, like there's Nick's, Medians, English, Proco, Ben Hatchman, Jason, AG car, the cars overseas, I don't know, Extreme Tuners and stuff. They all got the potential to go really fast, and we're all close friends. We all share information, and it's okay, and it's nice to make the progression on this community and this platform.
Heck yeah, I love that. I love that the Quick Evo guys are all like one big family.
Absolutely. I mean, just not a lot of us. What is it, like 10 of us that are really that fast, if that?
Yeah, that's
so
true.
There's no hate on it. Like, I don't know how the Honda guys are, or that's the only thing you can compare it to, but there's so many more of them.
Right.
So we got to kind of get it to grow so we can get more people to kind of want to do this. Because if there's not more Evos out there trying to compete, there's no reason for us to push this platform that much further afterwards,
For sure, yeah.
Yep.
Well, Raif, I also wanted to get your kind of perspective, because maybe there's someone out there, they have an 8-second Evo, a 9-second Evo, and they want to keep getting quicker and quicker. I wanted to talk to you about all the different setups that you've had over the years. Is there anything that you would have changed about any of those setups that someone could avoid, so they could maybe not have the same setbacks you had, or maybe be able to get quicker, faster, and cheaper?
Oh, that's a loaded question. But I guess first things first, got to talk to the right people to build your car. If you're not capable of doing that, just make sure you talk to the right person. I'm an easygoing guy. If you call me, I can give you a lot of information. So, if I'm not available, and the closest next person, just give them a call. Anyone that's got at least a car that's done faster than what your goal is, talk to them and see what they say. But pretty much if you're doing a 9 or an 8-second Evo, I would say, like, don't go too big of a turbo. 6870 is a really good turbo for an Evo platform. With the right transmission, the right motor, right management, right tune in the car, it's a mid 8-second turbo. We went 830 on a synchro trans.
Wow.
Like, no strain gauge, no nothing, back in 2015 with a 6870 and a full interior car. Like, the only thing we had out of the car is the AC and the heat and stuff like that. But it was pretty much full glass, doors, everything, you know. So don't overshoot your expectations with way too big of a turbo, and make sure you have a lot of seat time. You know, just as a perfect example, like, I'll use Nick as this. Like, Nick is probably one of the most progressive drivers out there in the Evo community. He came to us, you know, being a high 10, or it was a low or high 10-second car. We got him to go like a 9.0 and went from 9.0 to like 890 to low 8s to 7s in a matter of like 2-3 years. But he listened. Like, at first he was stubborn because he didn't realize what he was getting himself into. But listen. Like, he had a lot of, you know, coaching of how to drive the car, how to maintain the car, and what it really takes. Now, have your goal realistic. Like, if you want to try to go 7s, you better have a deep budget, because things break, and you got to make sure you have 2 of everything.
Right.
If you don't have 2 of everything, maybe your goal should be like an 890 car or like a 950 car, somewhere right there. Don't overshoot your goals. Make sure your budget can, you know, accommodate that, because it does take a lot of time and money and the right person behind doing it all for you and helping you out, unless you can do it yourself. But it still takes a lot of time and money. Like, just no such a thing as putting one motor, one trans, one clutch, one turbo kit and going 790s. That's not going to happen.
Right.
And even like 890s, it probably could, but you got a budget end of the year, refresh the setup. Like, don't just be thinking like, hey, I'm going to put it together once and it's good for 10 years. No way. That's not going to happen. You know, you're talking about 4-cylinder, small motor, not a chance. You gotta do some maintenance on it, you know?
Yeah, and I wanted to go back and highlight what you were saying with this car, that everything that you run in the Evo is off-the-shelf stuff, but I think it's the stuff that you can't buy that really makes your Evo special. You know, your experience and your tuning and all this stuff. That's the kind of stuff that even someone with the 8-second Evo, you could buy all the same parts that your car has, but it's going to take the knowledge and experience to get them to where you are.
Exactly. So you still need the knowledge and experience, because like 90% of my parts, I would say you can just buy off the shelf. I mean, yeah, we had Wisego remake our pistons like 10 times. We've had R&R remake our rods like 10 times. But that's all stuff to just make it a little stronger. But if you're trying to go 850s or whatever, like, they're off the shelf stuff like that, just sell to anybody. It's more than enough. We've done it. We've gone low 8s with it. But like, you know, just trying to get the best of the best for parts is one thing. You know, give us a call, give the next big shop a call. They probably all have that available too. It's not a top secret or anything, you know, just kind of revise little things. But like you said, the knowledge and just kind of like pinpointing what you're doing wrong. Like, hey, you launched the car, but you did this wrong. When you shift into second, hold it out a little bit more, or you went way too far. Like, when Nick started first racing this car, like, he would blow like every rocker. So he would do a head every pass because he would just over revving the car and just spinning every rocker. And, you know, it was a bunch of coaching to be like, hey, you got to like get it out of gear a little sooner. And it's only time and seat time that kind of gets you to that point, really, to where you need to be.
So, Raif, are there any goals for this year that you have that maybe you've set so far?
I mean, I really, really wanted the mile per hour record from English.
Yeah.
You know, we're really good friends with Miles and Lucas. We share a lot of information with them, and so they did also. And I think we can get their mile an hour record from my car, but you know, it's easier said than done. There's something about Evo 8s that just hit a brick wall at 190 miles an hour. I just don't know what it is yet. But we're going to try to, you know, push through that this year and see what happens. We want to go like a 195 and we don't see a reason why we can't hit a 200 mile an hour pass. But it's the same thing as when we were stuck at an 830 wall. We couldn't go faster. It might take us a couple of years. Who knows? No one's done it, so we don't know. English is the only person that's got they went 193, but it's an Evo 10. So, probably, I don't know what it's got to do with it. Better motor, better gearing, better trans, better something. But, you see Devin hitting 215, but completely different platform. As to why an Evo, we're all stuck at the 190. It's not just me. I believe almost all 10 of the Evos are stuck there, like 8, 9 of them, whatever we are. We're all stuck at the 190.
Yeah.
Brick wall.
I was going to say maybe it's because the Evo 8 shaped like a brick, but I guess the Evo 10 is also.
It is. So, we're going to find out this year. We're going to try to push a little harder and see what happens. But really not a crazy goal of like ET or anything. Whatever happens this year.
Yeah.
We're gonna really try to get Nick's car and Midian's car out a little bit more this year and try to get them a little faster. We want to get all 3 Evos exactly the same. That's really the big goal for the year. We want to be all like, it's crazy. It sounds we want to be 1, 2, 3, but that might be hard.
You definitely got the candidate cars. I mean, those Evos ain't no slouch either, and same with Ricardo's 4G63 RRT Civic. I mean, that thing's
Ricardo
faster.
Civic is definitely something to be talking about. That car's got a lot of potential, so hopefully get some time at the track and put some good numbers with that car also. But it's definitely got a lot of potential. I remember when he first put that car together about 3-4 years ago, and he brought it to the dyno. I was scared to even take it on the street. It was the sketchiest thing in the world. I was like, absolutely not. I drove it in the parking lot, and I got on a few times. I was like, oh, no, I'm done with this thing. and I can drive some things. And I was like, nope. So I give him a lot of props to drive that car,
So has it come a long way, or is it still pretty much there?
Oh, it come a long way. That car's come a huge long way, and I think, his heart's with that car, and he's got motivation. So I think the car's going to go fast for sure this year.
Heck yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
So, Raif, what events can we catch you at this year?
Well, I'm going to be to most of the local IFOs. I'm going to be at the shootout. I'm going to try to make FL2K and, absolutely World Cup finals. So those are going to be the 3-4 main events we're going to be. And see what happens.
Heck yeah. So, Raif, where can people find you out on social media so they can get a glimpse of this car if they haven't already seen it?
We're not huge of posting much on social media because we're so crazy busy, but, Facebook at RT Motorsports, same with Instagram, and then rtmotorsports.com. Get as much information about possible of us,
Heck yeah. Well, Raif, I always give people a chance at the end to give a thanks or a shout-out to anybody who's helped them out along the way. I know you probably have a big list of people, so is there anybody that you want to give a thanks or a shout-out to?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first things first is, my parents for giving me the opportunity to even come to this country. Without them, I wouldn't be here. My wife and kids for all their support and constant ups and downs and late hours and, missing basketball practice, gymnastics practice, stuff like that, and just, stuff that I can never get back, but, give and take,
Right.
So I'm really, hopeful I got like a really supportive family. My brother Beck is, my right-hand man. No matter what I need, he's always there, like whatever it takes, like it's midnight, 1 o'clock, morning time at the track, like, hey, we need this, like, boom, running around and I gets it, My good friend Jocelyn, that's always there, like no matter what, thinking outside the box, like, hey, what can we change on the car? And me being very stubborn, like, no, I like this works, and he's like, no, let's try this. And without him, I don't think the car would go as fast because he's always pushing me to do things that I'm uncomfortable with doing because I want to like do things that work. So he's always there trying to do that for me. John Whalen, for the countless of hours and hours of bouncing ideas back and forth, that, every day I get in my truck, either he calls me in the morning or I call him and we're just like, hey, bouncing ideas of what could work and with his business, with my business, with his work and my cars and his cars, and and it works really good because he's got some really good ideas, and some work, some don't. Same thing, we bounce him off, and man, it's been a huge help having him, help us, and without him, again, like, none of this would be possible. He's been a really good friend and very good motivator to get stuff done to the car. Then we got Median, my buddy Joey, Maggie, Nick, Shane, and all the wild boys that when we go to the track, it's like we're all together. That's our family. So, like, we can't race unless we're all three of us together. Like, we'll go to local test and tune, but, like, we need to be together. Everyone's got their part, We got Median's wife, Maggie, like, cooking for us, We got Nick's guys, like, helping out with the trailer or car and pulling wheels or cleaning. One guy's, like, cleaning a car. One guy's pulling a motor. One guy's doing a training stuff. One guy can pull a clutch and vice versa. So we all work together. And, like, I'll get them all their spare parts. They have spare parts. So we all share stuff. So it all really works out. Without them, it's hard to race at this caliber, put it that way. Like, we all need to be together. Like, if one drops, we all drop. It's tough. So, having them on my side, it's awesome. And then them being a part of my team is a blessing. Miles, Lucas from English, always there. Anything we need, every time we're at the track, they run some of our parts, we run some of their parts, we bounce ideas. It's huge. Kigley Racing has been a huge support of the car. We got every single part they offer, always there to help, no matter what. Phone call, boom, next day we get their parts. We got Bull Engineering for the bill of block. They're always there to listen to us. Hey, we need a small change. He's there. Wisego, R&R Rods, Magnus, Marco from Magnus. I mean, that guy, legend. Like, that guy helps a huge amount, With anything they get to offer, we probably have in the car. Quartermaster, we got Fish for the wiring of the car. We got KG Fab for all the fab work. We got Victoria at Texteria Fab also. Carbonetics, PPG, who am I forgetting? GSE for cams, ETS, Precision, and Apex, both of them. I mean, yeah, we're in Apex right now, but Precision's been along with me for 15 years, breaking records with me, so right. Can't forget about them. JMF. I also like to say thanks to Robert FP, all the guys at the shop for the countless time and hours and dedication they put into their car. No questions asked. Things that need to be changed. Hey, we got a last minute clutch job, whatever. They're always down to do whatever we need to do. Hey, we got to hit the track on Friday because we got to go testing. We got to just go and lock the shop up. Let's go. And they're all no questions asked. So I got to give a huge shout out to all my employees and all the guys back at the shop. Then I can't forget my longtime friends that have been there before I even started RRT, which is, Greg, my buddy Chris, a.k.a. Duck, Nick, a.k.a. Wolf. Those guys, were there before anything, and, they're weren't even car guys back then, but they're still there to support me with anything we do, and they still come to the track, help with the car, with anything they can offer. Huge. It's not a simple task to have a car like this. It does take a big team, and everybody above has helped huge amounts. It's not a one-man show, that's for sure. I'm just hopefully we can just keep progressing, and we got a good friends, family, and everything going on. And I got to give a huge shout out to all my customers for all their support. If you guys are at the track for an event, please stop by and say hello. Without you guys, I don't think we'd be doing this. And then, lastly, I got to give the biggest shout outs to you, MitsuTimes. I mean, you've kept the community so close, keeping everybody updated, all the time slips being on there. It's, keeping the Mitsu, community all informed. It's really, easy to just see everything, and it helps a lot just to be able to be, what is this guy doing? Let me check out this time slip, and to have all that data in one website, and keeping everybody updated is huge. Big thank you to you for doing that.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Absolutely, just keep it going. Please don't give up on us.
Will do. You got it.
Absolutely.
Well, Raif, it's been an absolute honor to get you on here. I know I just did a thing a couple weeks ago with who do you want to come onto the podcast, and probably at least 60% of them was you. So I'm glad that people are going to get a chance to hear your story and hear the man behind the machine.
Absolutely. I appreciate it,
Yes, sir. Well, I'll let you go because I know you're super busy. But again, thank you, and I hope to see you back in action soon.
No, thank you for having me, and I'll be out in the next couple of months.
All right, we'll see you.
Hey, take care. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the MitsuTimes podcast. Check out our Instagram and Facebook for daily updates. Get added to our list by going to MitsuTimes.org and clicking Submit a Slip. Thank you to all of our sponsors.